welcome in on this Friday evening. I'm still in Los Angeles, still keeping an eye on the Dodgers. I'll be back Monday, but let's go to what is going on in the Coachella Valley right now. And we're going to start with this. We talked about a decision Coachella Valley High School principal Dr. Michael Williams seemed to have unilaterally made. It was career day. The Border Patrol says they were invited, as they had been the last 3 years. When they got there, they found out their table had been set up, but then the principal approached the recruiters and basically threw them out. The Border Patrol put the principal on blast in a pretty scathing Facebook post. Then CVUSD wrote them an apology. They said the principal acted alone and disciplinary action would have been taken. Last night, our contributors weighed in. Do you think, Doug, that the principal was acting correctly when asking the Border Patrol folks to leave?
No, absolutely not. He certainly was not. But of course, he felt entitled to do that based upon the direction and the feeling he gets from the board. It all starts there, doesn't it? This organization is not around to educate children. They're there as a little fiefdom to create their own political powers, and be self-serving.
I would pull my kid out of that district right away. I mean, why is this principal adding more fuel to the fire as if the CVUSD doesn't have enough problem as it is? What he did was incorrect. It was self-serving. It was grossly overreacting. What a doozy.
So on the surface, it seemed like we were only talking about then one specific incident, but in essence, we were talking about much more. A couple of you wrote in. Now, here's what Michael had to say. If graduate students here on visas can be detained and imprisoned and brown-skinned residents arrested and sent to prison in El Salvador, then a student might have a legitimate fear of Border Patrol agents on campus. Students may have conveyed this fear to the principal, and he or she, he in this situation, reacted to protect them. Your contributors were completely insensitive to the fears of any Hispanic-looking individual. We did bring that question up in one of the questions, and then we got this from Gary. Thank you for all you do for the Coachella Valley and the subject of the ICE agent. Could it be the principal was concerned his students because of this current administration? Again, thank you for being a voice. We thank both Michael and Gary, but again, we were talking about something much larger, the bigger issue. We reached out to the principal and did not hear back, so we can only speculate what his motivation was. The point we were making is this is another symptom of the issues at CVUSD. According to the press release, the principal went rogue. Is that true? Maybe we'll never know. The fact that CVUSD has lost control of its district and have to back people, the fact that the district has to cut somewhere between $41 and $54 million due to the way it's been managed. The board is being sued for harassment and discrimination, and the superintendent is included in that lawsuit while she's being personally sued for the same issues at her former district. Those are the facts. There is no way to spin them. CVUSD is in free fall. It seems like each day there is another problem, and this was another drop in the bucket. I guess on the program tonight, our contributors, Jill Marie Plaza and Brad Ward. Okay, Joe, we'll start with you. From what you've seen and heard, overall, what do you think of CVUSD?
I agree with you, Fred. They are in a free fall. The people that are hurting of all of this are the students. And for the district to give that quote unquote apology for inadvertently denying, that's not an apology at all. So again, it points to a system-wide issue that's going on that's bigger than just an isolated incident.
Brad?
I agree 100%. These seem to be avoidable issues. I hope they can get their act together and recover from this very soon.
Any logical person, and I'm not saying the folks that are illogical, and I'm not saying I'm a genius, but any logical person would think the principal did not make this decision on his own. I mean, I know for a fact that the school board and the superintendent were told 2 days in advance that this was going to happen. And at that point in time, don't you think if this type of thing, if this decision was going to occur, there would have been a conversation, there would have been a phone call, there would have been a meeting. Somebody would have said something and said, don't even let them set up this year. Or a phone call would have been made prior to them getting there. But to me, and again, this is purely speculation as I observe this, it seems like to me, this guy's the fall guy for something. This guy is the fall guy. He's taken the heat for a decision that I think was made by others. Jill, when you hear that, does that make sense?
Absolutely. Makes perfect sense. The question is, who is the person that's trying to get this principal to be the fall guy? One. And two, is the principal a willing participant in the dysfunction that's happening at the district level?
Okay, I assure you we're going to keep on this. We'll have more Monday. Right now, it seems like we are going to have to look backwards so we can move forwards. Back in November, we talked about Prop 6 failing. It would have removed prisoners having to do forced labor in California. Our contributors had opposite views on that prop. What do you think of Californians voting no on Prop 6?
I'm all for it. They are hardly slaves. They did something bad. They're in jail. I did some research. It costs over $130,000 a year to house an inmate. So if they can do a little bit of work to take some burden off of other parts of our government where tax dollars are spent, I think that's the least they could do.
Work without payment and then have punishment if you don't work. That's the layman's definition of slavery. I've heard people defend it, but I don't know. I still feel like that's not correct.
Well, after the prop failed, lawmakers wouldn't let it die, took it to the legislature. It became Assembly Bill 475, which would prohibit forcing inmates to work. That bill now is still alive. Prop 6 would have updated the California Constitution to ban slavery as well as involuntary servitude. A majority of the viewers rejected that. Okay, Brad, we know how the people voted. Why do you think somebody in the Assembly is now trying to override the people and continue this?
Based on what the article says, it's a priority of the Legislative Black Caucus. So it has some support of a voting bloc in the legislature. I'm not surprised it moved forward with that kind of support, really, but I'm not sure what the right thing is to do either.
Okay, Jill, Riverside County had the most percentage of votes against the prop. So everybody here voted against the prop. Why do you think Riverside County had the highest percentage?
I'd say why they had the higher percentage. We also were higher with regards to the conservative election results. So I think that's indicative of who's moving out here. I think we need to redefine what actually is slavery because these prisoners aren't chattel. And I think we need to be careful that people aren't double jeopardized. You know, victims have been hurt by criminals and then we as society have to pay to house them. No, this can't possibly have any chance of getting through.